Hey folks, so good morning. My name is Walter Montero with Remax Real Estate Center. Just wanted to share with you the 10 steps involved in purchasing your first home. And that is my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. And that is my company and both my real estate and mortgage company. Okay, so let's get started on the 10 steps to purchasing your first home. So your first step, I think more than anything, is to meet with a mortgage agent and have an interview with a mortgage agent. You need to decipher a few things here before you get started in purchasing a home. You want to know how much do you have for a down payment. Obviously know what the acceptable sources are, RSPs for first-time home buyers, gifting, that sort of thing. You want to know what kind of closing costs you're getting into, legal fees, land transfer tax, inspection fees, any hidden taxes, property taxes, all of that stuff. How much do you actually qualify for? Some of these ratios are different depending on your credit rating. Depending on how much you make, that's going to determine how much you can borrow. So your debt service, what percentage of your income can you use towards paying a mortgage? And then that together with the down payment is obviously going to give you some sort of number. Determining the right mortgage for you. Not all mortgages are created equally. So you need to have an interview with a mortgage professional and know what is the right mortgage for you. And if there's nothing they can do for you, what can we do to fix your credit, maybe help you acquire a down payment, that sort of thing. So step number one, more than anything, very important, meet with your mortgage professional. Okay, so step number two is now that you have your mortgage pre-qualification, you're going to be asked for a few things. You're going to be asked for a job letter, a T4, a notice of assessment, what they call an NOA, T1 generals, verification of down payment. All of this stuff is going to have to come out because in order for the mortgage broker to give you a solid answer, they need to have solid information from you. So they need to ask you for this documentation up front so the mortgage broker can submit it to the lender for an actual pre-approval. Because remember, when you walk into a bank and they give you a quick answer, that's not a pre-approval. In fact, we see that happen on many occasions where somebody has gone to a lender and they're told they qualify for an X amount of dollars, and then all of a sudden all this information comes out, and guess what? The world goes to hell in the handbasket and they don't qualify for the financing. Very important that you get this information to your mortgage professional. The next step is to select a realtor. Hopefully that's me, okay? What should you look for in a realtor? Obviously experience, support staff. Are these guys, a one-man show, or do they actually have a team of people that are going to be able to assist you through the process? There's a lot of moving parts in a real estate transaction, so having one person handle it is not necessarily the greatest thing. Where do they practice? This is something I see all the time. People coming in from out of town, realtors coming in from out of town. Listen, when I'm a listing agent, I love it because a lot of times we see buyers come in and overpay for a property. I'm okay with it when I'm a listing agent. If I'm representing you as a buyer, I don't want to put you in that situation. Make sure that you are dealing with somebody that knows your area, okay? And has a knowledge of the financing. So even though you've spoken to a mortgage professional, make sure that your real estate professional is sensitive to that information and knows how to handle any kind of offer when you go to submit one. And then, of course, the next thing is that you sign a buyer representation agreement with them. The reason you want to do that is you're making a commitment to the realtor's making a commitment to you. Okay, so when a realtor has a real hot property, the ones that aren't signed to a buyer agency agreement are not the ones that get the calls first. It's the people that have made a commitment to that realtor that are going to get the first call on the real good deal. Okay. The next thing, of course, is to find your dream home. How do we do that? We're going to get you set up on MLS to receive daily updates of listings that meet your criteria. We're going to scrub the MLS for off-market properties. What that means is typically homes that have been on the market and have come off unsold. We're going to communicate with all listings that fit your criteria, including new builds and for sale by owners. Not that there's a whole lot of for sale by owners these days, but they could be out there, and we want to make sure that we find these things for you. We go see properties that suit your needs ASAP, okay? Because we don't want you to miss out on an opportunity, especially the way the market has changed. You know, just a few months ago, sellers were holding off on offers before they actually entertained them. And now, because the market is so different, they want to make sure that they don't miss a buying or a selling opportunity. So if you want to present an offer right away, today you're more likely to get it entertained than you were just a few months ago. And then the other thing, of course, we do is we ask you to bring all parties along for showings that are going to be involved in the buying decision. So if mom and dad are going to help you, bring mom and dad with you. If Uncle Joe's going to help you, let's bring Uncle Joe on the showings. Because the thing is you don't want to delay making an offer on a property you like. And if you got to come back and show mom and dad or show Uncle Joe, you may have missed the opportunity to buy a really good deal. Okay, now when it comes to drafting an offer, that's step number 5. I'm going to ask you to lean on your agent for guidance. Research prices. Look at a comparative market analysis. Don't be a low baller. You know, when somebody goes in with a low offer, below market value, you know, you're doing a couple things. You're risking insulting the seller who may not even want to deal with you. And secondly, you're displaying your lack of knowledge of the market. So don't be that person, okay? Ask your realtor to run a geo warehouse report. This is simply a report on the property of who actually owns it and what kind of transactions and what kind of registrations are against it. Maybe if you can get a hold of a purview report, that's pretty excellent too. It gives you an idea of the registered mortgages against the property and gives you an idea of value. And then, of course, you want to see what the last sale was. Now, if the sale was 10 years ago, the price is probably a moot point. But if it was just a few months ago, you'll probably want to know, okay? So it's not a bad idea to get an idea of what the last sale was. Try and determine the seller's motivation for selling. So when your realtor is reaching out to the other agent, see if they can find out why they're selling. This is going to be an ace in your sleeve, so to speak. Now, a listing agent worth his salt is not going to answer that question, but many of them will. So have your agent ask the question, see if you can find out what the motivation is. If possible, include the following conditions. Always provide, obviously, a strong deposit, okay? It's refundable, so don't worry about it. Put in a financing condition if you can, okay? Put in an inspection clause if you can. If you need to, put in an insurance clause, especially if the properties are older or built during the 70s. When they're older, they tend to have lead plumbing, knob and tube wiring, sometimes funky insulation, that sort of thing. If they're built in the 70s, they could have aluminum wiring. So make sure that you are able to insure the property, because guess what? If you can't insure a property, you can't mortgage a property. So make sure that that's in there if the realtor feels you need it. And then, of course, if you've got a property to sell, maybe address it with a conditional on sale of property. You may want to lean on your agent and see if they'll give you a guaranteed sale in order to eliminate that condition. But if they can't, then you're going to have to put in a condition on sale of property, because the last thing you want to do is make a commitment to buy a property and not have yours sold, and now you can't close. You've got yourself in a pickle. And try and get your offer accepted as soon as possible. I put bully in brackets there because bully offers tend to get entertained, especially now, okay? Back a few months ago, bully offers were harder to get presented. Now they're not so hard. Step number 6 is get your conditions met ASAP. Finalize everything with your lender. Get a copy of the offer and the listing. Get an appraisal if necessary. If an appraisal is necessary, that needs to be ordered right away. These guys are really, really busy. And if you put a week-long condition for financing and the appraiser can't get there for 3 or 4 days, you may have set yourself up for failure. So make sure you got enough time for that. All right. Attend the home inspection. If you were lucky enough to get a home inspection clause accepted, go on the inspection with the home inspector, and don't be afraid to renegotiate the offer if you find major shortfalls with the property. Okay. Be sure that the lender is satisfied with every part of the deal, the value, CMHC approval if applicable. And then once you have all that taken care of, now you're in a position to waive your conditions and waive the conditions before the time limit that you gave. Okay, so in other words, if you gave a week for conditions to be met, you need to meet those conditions within the week that you have proposed. So now that your agreement is firm and binding, you have a firm and binding contract. Congratulations, you bought a house. What's the next step? The next step is to select a real estate lawyer. So a real estate lawyer, we're going to give you 2 or 3 and you're going to pick one and form your realtor and your mortgage broker who you've selected and have them send off all the documentation to that lawyer, because it's going to be very important that they do their title work before the closing date and give them as much time as possible. Now, a few days before closing, you're going to be asked to do a final walkthrough on the property. You're going to do that with your realtor a day or 2 before closing, as it says. And then make sure that the property is in the same general condition as when you saw it. That walkthrough is not for the purpose of doing an inspection of the property all over again. What it is just to ensure that the property is in the same general condition as when you saw it. Okay? And then you're going to meet with the lawyer. You're going to sign a bunch of documentation. And please make sure you bring photo ID on that appointment, because you're going to need it. Even if you know the lawyer personally, still bring photo ID. Step 8, moving checklist. Make sure that you call all the utility companies and set up the services to start for your start date, i.e. your possession date. Book a moving van. Make sure that you've arranged for property insurance. Very important. You're going to need that when you meet with the lawyer. He's going to ask you for proof of insurance. Make sure that you've booked time off work if you're moving on the actual closing day. Okay, so if you're closing on a Friday, you work Monday to Friday, you're going to need to make arrangements to take time off. Call some friends for some help and make sure that you do the final walkthrough. That's very, very important. Okay, on moving day. Now, everybody stresses about moving day. It's stressful. That's just the way it is. Don't worry about it. It will be over before you know it. Closing can happen anytime between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So when people ask, what time am I going to get the keys? Sometime in between there. That's just the way it is. Come on, the cable company in Bell Canada give you a time slot that wide, and we wait for them. We got to do the same thing. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You will only be allowed to enter the property once the property closes, okay? So don't ask the realtor or the lawyer for access to the property before the transaction's actually closed. They cannot give you access to the property. The money needs to change hands before you get access to the property. And then packing up, just so you know the logistics, the packing up is usually done on the morning of the move. And then the moving into the property is done in the afternoon. That's if you're closing the same day. If you want to eliminate all kinds of stress, don't make moving day the same day as your date of possession. But if you can't avoid it, that's going to be the logistics of the move. And then again, as I said, don't stress. Set things up slowly and have fun with the process. It's stressful, but don't worry about it. You'll live to tell about it. Step 10, after moving day. You're going to have stuff all over the place. I want you to make sure that you keep your records on file and in a safe place. So make sure that you create a file for all your home records. Set alerts to change filters on the furnace and to change batteries in your fire alarms and that sort of thing. Set alerts for servicing and checkups. Make sure that you set those in place. You want to be a good steward of your new home. Check in with your mortgage broker from time to time. Is there a mortgage? Is the mortgage that you're in still the right fit for you? Maybe you can consider refinancing. Get an update on rates. Maybe rates went down. You might want to take advantage of that. Consider leveraging your equity for sound investment opportunities. That could be another investment property. It could be something in stocks. It could be maybe even a mortgage investment opportunity, that sort of thing. So that is when you get into refinancing. Sometimes you might even want to consolidate debt and then wrap everything up into one little package. So create a plan and make sure that you get rid of your mortgage as soon as possible. Okay, make sure that your number one priority is to get your home paid off as soon as possible, because nothing feels better than a paid for home. All right. Now, what I'm going to ask you is for your plan of action. What should you do here? So first of all, what I want you to do is I want you to go to www.homepreapproval.com. This is going to take you to a secure mortgage application portal. I want you to fill that out to the best of your ability. And then once you do that, I want you to go to another website that's called meetwithkarenm.com. That's my wife. She's a mortgage broker. She's going to get you pre-approved for a mortgage. She's going to set up a time for you to meet either physically or through a Zoom call and get you pre-approved. After you've got that done, I want you to go to my website, MaximumResultsTeam.com and /buying, and tell me what you're looking for. Give me some parameters of what you're looking for, and then go to meetwithwalter.com and let's set up a time for us to get together and start the home buying process. Okay? Let me help you make your dreams come true.